Honorable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it perform its high duty as in their sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the effort of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Once again, I welcome you to the second public hearing of the Public Accounts Committee for this meeting. Honorable members, we are going to consider during these 4 or 5 days the report of the Auditor General on the public accounts of Ghana, public boards, corporations, and other statutory institutions for the period ended 31st December 2018. Now, the agencies to appear before the committee today fall under 4 main ministries: Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Justice, and Ministry of Communication. I want to welcome all the ministers, deputies, and the directors, chief directors who are here leading their respective agencies to appear before the committee. You're welcome. Again, just to remind all of us that this is a committee of Parliament established under Article 103 of the Constitution and Standing Order 165 of the Parliament of Ghana. Our role is to review the report of the Auditor General and to find out from you actions you have taken on the recommendations of the Auditor General as cited in the reports. We are not here to witch hunt. We are not here as policemen. We only want the best for our country. So, if a question is put to you, you respond as you know it. Don't try to impress by telling something that is not true. Because if it is found later that you lied to the committee, the consequences are too hard, will be too hard for you. Now, we will start by, in this order, we'll go in this order. We'll take Ministry of Health first, then Ministry of Education second, followed by Ministry of Justice, and then Ministry of Communication will be the last for the day. I want to give the floor to the ranking member of the committee to give us opening remarks as we do this before we take the oath to be administered by the clerk. So, ranking member.
Thank you, Chairman. I also want to welcome all of you to this sitting and to reiterate what the Chairman has said. We are all here to make sure that the public money has been spent and spent in line with the laws and the procedures of this country. It is a way of making sure that as much as possible, we're getting value for money for all that we are doing. Those of us who have been given the power to implement government projects and policies. I would like to advise that, especially those of you who will be leading your teams, I believe you have technical experts in all areas. So if a question is put to you and you think that it will be best answered by your accountant or a procurement officer, let him handle it so that you don't find yourself wanting. You are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ranking member. So I'll call the following ministries or agencies to take part in the oath. So we have the Food and Drug Authority, we have Pharmacy Council, then Ghana Red Cross Society. If they are here, please come forward. Food and Drugs Authority, Pharmacy Council, Ghana Red Cross Society. If they are here, the oath.
I swear by the Almighty God.
Swear by the Almighty God.
That the evidence I give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter in issue.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
So you sit together. Sit down. Yeah, you can sit down.
Oh, come. You are here. Okay. You are running away. Chief Director, you're giving me so many things to do today.
I thought Elijah was going to take buses.
And they said they've changed the time.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll now do introduction. We start with the members of the committee. So, Honorable Sampson, if you can start the introduction.
Thank you, Chairman. 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 Thank Thank you. My name is Samson Tangombu Chilagia, MP Nevrongo Central, a member of the committee.
I'm Dakwani Newman. I'm the Member of Parliament for Kankwe South. I'm a member of the committee.
Good morning, Sofa Akuaku, MP for Bomdomiabra, member of the committee. Thank you.
Peter Yakwachiaka, MP for Memphis Central, a member of the committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Clement Abasa Pak, member of Parliament for Bulsa South, and a member of the committee.
Good morning. My name is Samuel Atta Mills, MP for Commander Edina Eguafu Abrem, and a Vice Chairman of the committee.
Joanna Abnasach Eje, clerk to the committee.
Good morning once again. My name is James Kluche Abaji, MP for Kachinov and the chair of this committee.
Good morning. My name is Kofi Ochri Ajekum, MP for Fantiakwa South, and the ranking member of this committee.
Good morning. Kofi Adams is my name, MP for Buim, and member of this committee. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Suleimana Yusuf. I'm the MP for Bole Bamboy, and I am a member of this committee. Thank you.
Yeah, let's continue with the audit service.
I'm Lisbeth Botry, Commercial Audit Department, Audit Service.
Good morning. My name is Krish Doku from the Audit Service.
My name is Alexander Kumson, Ghana Audit Service.
My name is Nicholas Abumajid, Head of Finance, FDA.
My name is Delise Mimidakon, Chief Executive, Food and Drugs Authority.
My name is Alaji Muhammad Seni, MP for the Wemankaro constituency and Deputy Minister for Health.
My name is Kwabena Boadu Oku Afari, Chief Director for Minister of Health.
Yvonne Nkoma, Deputy Chief Executive for Corporate Services, FDA.
Kofi Kugbe, Director, Internal Audit, FDA.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Now, let's start straightforward. Deputy Minister, you're welcome. I know you are representing your minister, so no further question on the it's what about at least we have the deputy here to represent the minister. We'll start with the Pharmacy Council. And Pharmacy Council has a number of infractions, starting FDA seated. Okay, so we should start with FDA. All right, so we'll start with, and the first one will be taken by Honorable Sampson, paragraph 483 to 501. Paragraph 483 to 501. That is your allotted infractions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, I've got a report on the, as a result of audit conducted and the Food and Drugs Board for 2017. You go with me to page 483. There's a lot of history about the performance of your organization, the fixed assets scheduled, the financial position, then we have management issues. I think there are a lot of issues that the auditors came across in terms of procurement, in terms of projects, variations, and other issues. Please, the issues run from paragraph 483 to paragraph 501, and the recommendations are there. I hope you are privy to this.
Yes, we are, sir.
Okay. For the operational results and performance, I will just move from there. But I will want us to go with the financial positions. I think that one are all issues that has to deal with your company performing, moving from to 2016, the outflows moving from by 39%. Your inflows were there, and I think there's some performance excess. However, it looks like compensations alone moved from 2016 to 2017 by 39%. And we know in Ghana here, salaries usually don't go up by that. How did it happen? Can you explain to the House how compensations alone moved from 2016 to 2017 by 39.4%?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, when we talk about compensation, we're referring to payment for normal salaries and other allowances. And the challenge was that depending upon the way items have been treated before and the change of an accountant, then the way he also tried to change things, how things are recorded. So compensations, allowances were not captured first under compensation, but with the change of accountant and wanted to follow the right procedure and how things should be captured properly, we decided to capture all allowances which fall under compensation according to the harmonized chart of account. Those allowances are part of compensation. For instance, clothing allowance. All those allowances are compensation-related allowances. So based upon the chart of account, they should conglomerate as allowances. That is why the classification has caused the figure to jump to that height. So it is not as if it is an increment or something like that. It is just the change in classification that has caused that. Thank you.
Paragraph 486. The auditors are saying that this was as a result of payment of high board allowances due to the reconstitution of the board during the period. This is what the auditors are saying. What do you say about that?
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of anything like that. The board came into being somewhere in October 2017, and that could not have accounted for any such increment. So maybe the auditors are here, we could have. We are the people who record the transaction, so we are telling you what it is. Thank you.
You are the finance director.
Yes, sir.
There was an interim audit.
Yes, sir.
These issues were raised. There was a final audit. These issues were raised before the auditor's report. Are you telling me that this is the first time you are hearing of this particular clause?
Mr. Chairman, when auditors are passing comment on financial results, they don't consult us. That is their comment on the financial performance, and that is their comment. That is their opinion. So they don't refer to us when they are passing their opinion on the financial result. So that we are unaware, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Finance man, let me tell you that I know there's an exit conference. So you mean there wasn't any
came up? Thank you.
Auditors, what do you have to say about this?
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. What happens is that normally commenting on the accounts are not part of the observations raised. However, we comment them into the draft report, which is sent to them for discussion. So if they have any reservations, it should have been resolved during the ESE conference, so that we'll be able to resolve it. And board allowances and those things, allowances, I think the auditors were aware that maybe that was the reason why the figure escalated. But like I said, it's always part of the draft report sent to the auditee.
Okay, we have not finished. So let's go to paragraph 491. Management issues.
Honorable, let me ask a question. Mr. Accountant, you explained reasons for the increase in the figure for compensation as a result of reclassification of or retreatments. Can you explain why goods and services also dropped by 47%?
So, Mr. Chairman, as you can see, if goods and services has dropped, it is because first compensation was treated as part of goods and services. So now that we have moved it out of goods and services to its rightful place, it has caused the goods and services figure to come down. So that is the explanation.
Can you give us the extent of that drop? What portion of the goods and services have been moved to compensation?
Mr. Chairman,
so that we know the effects on the main, what should have been the goods and services if the former or the previous treatment was repeated.
So, Mr. Chairman, most of the allowances that were paid before were treated as conferences, meetings, and all those kind of things. They were captured under goods and services as conferences, workshops, and all those kind of things. But we felt when I resumed power, I resumed as head of finance, I thought those treatments were not right, because if you are paying full allowance, you cannot treat it as conferences. If you are paying clothing allowance, you cannot treat it as conferences. If you are paying overtime allowance, you cannot pay. You cannot treat. So those treatments were properly done. That reduced the goods and services budget our expenditure.
Mr. Accountant, I follow what you are saying and I understand, but we don't have the benefit of the main financial statement. What we are looking at here is just a summary from the audit service.
Yes, sir.
You know the details. That is why I'm asking you if you can segregate that and tell us the extent to which the movement from the goods and services to compensation, what is that figure? Because you are mentioning some items, but we don't know the quantum of those items.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is 2017 figures, and I have not had full knowledge of this particular Auditor General report. I have not seen it. They just tease out a portion of infractions or irregularities for us to attend to. So I've not seen the detail for me to go back and review.
Mr. Accountant, are you Director of Finance?
Yes, sir.
Director of Finance.
Yes,
you
sir.
just said a minute ago
that
when you resume work or you took over, you realize that certain items treatment were done. It means that you have the benefit of looking at those figures. Now you are saying that you have not seen it.
No, Mr. Chairman, I think there's some miscommunication. I'm not saying I'm not seeing it. I'm saying that this is 2017 figures. I do not have the benefit of keeping details right now. If you permit us, we can provide that details to the committee for your review.
Yeah, we will need a copy of the financial statement for 2017. Then we can ourselves do, because we need this information to take a decision. Okay, we are not asking for just for the public. We need it so that we know how your performance is going. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm looking at the income statement on page 116. First of all, you have under total expenditure, transfer to consolidated fund. What exactly is that?
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the question. The transfer to consolidated fund is a portion of our revenue that government takes, or we are supposed to retain a certain percentage of our revenue, and the government also take a portion. So the portion taken by government that's a transfer to government. That's transfer to consolidated fund.
Okay, and you also have government of Ghana. I take that one to be subvention, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you can transfer 22, almost 23 million to Ghana, to government, why do you have to ask government for subvention? Is it robbing Peter to pay Paul, or the government gives you 13 million, and at the end of the day, you transfer 22 million? So I can conclude that there's no need for government to give you subvention. So, am I right?
So, Ranking, you are rather advocating for them that government should allow them to keep all their IGF so that they don't depend on subvention. Asking them to pay part of their IGF to the consolidated fund. That is why they are still on subvention.
No, Chairman, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that at the end of the day, they are able to transfer 23 million to government. So what is the need for asking government to give them 30 million in the same year? I think my point, it doesn't really, it seems to me it is not necessary.
So Mr. Chairman,
unless you can convince me that you need that money, I will recommend that the government should not give you any subvention, because you have more than enough, and you give the government more than that.
Mr. Chairman, the 13 million, as you see in the financial report, is not really a transfer by government to us. It's a compensation that is paid by central government on behalf of FDA staff. That's what we capture as government subvention. That's what we capture as GOG subvention.
It's able to pay yourself without government paying your salary.
As by law established now, we are still supposed to retain a portion of our IGF and remit the rest to government. And until that changes, the status quo prevails. Thank you.
Chairman, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I'm saying that.
He's not convinced, even though it's a good answer.
Mr. Chairman, I think that it's a major policy decision that has to be taken, whether government will give FDA subvention or government doesn't give them anything and they keep all their IGF so they can operate from there and pay themselves. So it's a decision that has to be taken. Until that decision is taken, I think that government says that account for revenue separately, account for expenditure separately, and I believe that is what is being done. Thank you, Chairman.
I think that we are looking at figures here. I think that it is possible for them to make some transfers to government and still pay themselves, because at the end of the day, they transfer 23 million to government and government give them 30 million. I don't see the point in that. You can still send some money to government and still pay yourself, because what you send to government was more than what your government paid to you.
Honorable, I'm sorry, you're looking at just 1 year's figures. So we need to look at more than 1 year to be able to take that decision.
But Ranking, one thing we should notice is that the 23 million or the 20.9 million that they transferred to government was not transferred based on their will. It was based on law. So they are compelled to do this transfer to comply with the law. If not, they would have decided to transfer only 10 million to them. Or keep everything. So they are complying with the law. Until the law is changed, it will continue this way.
And Mr. Chairman, that was the year the capping policy came into being. So it has really affected us negatively. That's why you can see goods and service budget and all those things coming down, because we did not have enough money to carry out our operations. Most of our work were on hold because a substantial chunk of our money was taken away from us.
Samson, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's go to paragraph 491. And the heading is contracts, variation of contract without approval. 14,467,519.19. And here, the auditors, they've looked at the procurement law, and they think that your infraction has to do with that. You are violating the law, and because of that, you have probably increased the contract sum to 57%. And what they are saying is that here, this contract was awarded to MS Deem Construction and Trading Limited, and it was supposed to be completed within 24 hours. However, in 2017, you decided to vary the contract amount up to about 57%. Can you explain to us why you did so?
Honorable, please, that approval, when we came here the last time, which was in 2017, I think, 2018, yes, this infraction had been done. We have secured that approval, and we have given it to the auditors for verification. So that has been done.
There's
no further action on that.
Okay.
We've done that. The auditors have verified that.
They verified that?
Yes.
And that you have, because you were supposed to go through a lot of procedure.
Yes, we've done all that.
As a result, there are a lot of issues. So are you saying that the auditors?
Yes.
Auditors, should I believe that you have got all the response in connection with the variation of the contract and everything is done?
And I want to thank you. Really, they sought the approval from Central Tender Review Committee, which was approved. However, the total amount was not what was approved. It was left with 45,535 outstanding. Thank you.
So, where's the whereabouts of the 45,000 as
Mr. Chair, we're hearing this one for the first time, because when the approval has been secured and we give to the auditors during their subsequent audit, and they have verified and this issue has been cleared. But when we've been invited for this committee, an audit team was dispatched to FDA, and we have given the same documents to them. So we have not received any information from audit service as to whether there is an outstanding issue, because for us, the contract sum is that the variation is what we secured approval for. So we are really at a loss as to why the auditors are saying there's 45,000. A contract of 39 million, how could there be 45,000 outstanding? We need to get better, further and better particulars from the auditors. They were with us 2 weeks ago, and they've taken the document. We will not receive any information from them. Thank you.
Mr. Finance, I expect you to say that you will reconcile with them if there are any outstanding, because you cannot sit here and put the blame to the auditors. You just beg Mr. Chair and tell him that you will go back and come back to it.
All right.
So we are giving 2 weeks. Right. Chairman, sorry. Chairman will give the ruling.
Honorable, do you have the power to do that? Kindly withdraw that statement.
I've withdrawn without reserve. Okay, that is just the procurement approval that you are talking of. But your center, you have the Central Tender Review Committee. It's also claiming that 1 million, an amount of 1 million provided for fiscal contingency and added to the variation work did not seem to be consistent with the general summary of the original contract. So this is a query coming from your CTRC, who are most of your guys, your own members, are members of this board. What do you say about that?
So, Mr. Chairman, it was during the approval of the variation that they raised those issues. And those issues were on which the variation was granted. So the 1 million issue was a prelude to the eventual approval of the variation. So those issues have been sorted out long ago. Thank you, sir.
Auditors, they are shifting all the goalposts to. Can you confirm that the other 3 issues, you are satisfied with them?
Honorable Chair, yes. Those ones have been resolved. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we are in your hands.
Thank you very much. That will be all for your question. Let's move to the next one, paragraph 502, ranking.
Thank you. Paragraph 502, page 120. The infraction is unapproved allowances and 1,737,851 cedis, 69 pesos of allowances were paid to staff out of internally generated funds. Section 5 of the Retention of Funds Act 735 states that internal general funds should not be used for the payment of salaries, staff benefits, and other allowances, except where allowances are directly related to the provision of services. That will lead to the increase in revenue. Did you seek approval from the Ministry of Finance before paying these allowances using internally generated funds?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We sought approval from the Minister of Finance. And in fact, Mr. Chairman, there is a document issued by Minister of Finance on these allowances. There's a comprehensive document on allowances for public sector workers. And this is available to all public sector workers who generate internally generated funds that are meant to increase additional revenue or to make additional revenue, and that are also contained in their conditions of service. So we pay these allowances first because the ministry has approved it. It's a general document. Number 2, these allowances are meant to generate in additional internally generated fund, and 3, they are part of our conditions of service. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Did the auditors see the approval letter?
Mr. Chairman, at the time that the auditors were at our premises, we showed them portions of the approved document, but their disagreement was that it was not a complete document, and that we should give them the complete document. And our view was that this is a public document that auditors ought to have. It is not just like Financial Administration Act, but subsequently we have given it to them when they insisted on receiving it. We give it to them.
Well,
we made it available. So there's no further action on this particular matter.
But I don't get you. You have an issue. The auditors have raised it, and you have a document that will exonerate you, and you are saying that you won't show it to them because it's a public document. I don't understand your reasoning.
We give it to them.
But you said you decided not to show them the full document because it's a public document. They should have also had it. And you were defending yourself. Why would you do that?
Oh, no, we gave them a copy of the document.
Madam, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, we give it to them during their follow-up audit. It was during their follow-up audit that we give it to them.
Mr. Auditor, can you confirm that one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the issue on hand has to do with whether they were given approval to use internally generated funds to pay for that allowances. The documentation that they are talking about, in fact, the document that they are talking about is a general document that Ministry of Finance issued out, that these are the category 2, category 3 allowances that public sector institutions can pay. But what we wanted was whether they were given approval, specific approval, to use internally generated funds to make the payments. That is our contention. It has nothing to do with the document that was issued out by Ministry of Finance telling institutions that these are the rates. In fact, the document talks about the rate.
Approval of conditions of service.
So, Mr. Chairman, more so their condition of service, entity specific, what has been approved for them was not made available to the auditors. So that is the crux of the matter.
Mr. Auditor, the Food and Drugs Authority is solely dependent on IGF. We just saw their financial statement, and the subvention is about 13 million. They rather transfer 22.9 million to government. So most of their expenditure is from the IGF. Why are you single out this one that have they been given approval to spend out of IGF? Meanwhile, their entire expenditure is based on IGF. Why do you single out this one? That they should need specific approval for this. Ranking, let's move on.
So let's move on to the next infraction. Failure to submit reports on training workshops. Paragraph 509. The auditors said that our review showed that 45 officers were sponsored to attend training, seminars, conferences in both home and abroad, costing $113,000 and £16,700 pounds. We noted that authority organized training also similar and workshop for officers and other individuals, organizations as part of their regulatory activity during the same period, with a total cost of $311,000. The auditors are saying that there were no reports from those who attended the conferences. There were no to show that even these were the topics or something that was treated at the conference, which should have been brought to the head of human resources to at least authenticate or justify that these conferences for which you pay so much money has been attended. What do you say to that?
Okay, you want to talk?
can talk to him.
It's not finance. Mr. Chairman, after every time a staff goes on training, the staff writes a report to their head of department, which is submitted to the head of division. And this report is available if human resource needs it. That is a policy that we run. So the auditors could have had these reports available if they had asked for it. I'm very surprised that these reports were not available. I'm still told by this. These reports are available. Even I get copies on every single training that every staff attends, no matter how low the staff is, no matter whatever department the staff is in. I get every single report. I review every recommendation for every training that any staff attends in the organization. It doesn't matter what the training is. It doesn't matter what the conference is. I get a copy of every report. So I'm very surprised that this should come as an audit query. I saw it. So I'm actually very surprised that the auditor should raise this. And I saw that report, and I asked that the report should be given to them. I'm surprised that it's sitting here as an audit query. And it is still pending at this committees, and I'm very sorry for that.
Auditors, were you giving the reports after the audit, or after, were you giving the reports?
Madam Chairman, initially, Mr. Chairman, initially not given. And then current status to when we went there, we were still not given. So it's still an outstanding. Thank you.
Did you ask for it? It's outstanding.
Madam,
yes.
You say the reports are available.
Yes.
We are very surprised that.
Yes, these are technical
and
reports.
You actually directed that they should be given to them.
Yes, these are technical reports. So they are not attached to the financials. They are not attached to the audit. So I'm actually very surprised that they are still pending. All the trainings that we go to are very technical. So they are technical reports that come to me, go to the heads of the division. So
well,
I'm actually surprised that they are still.
The auditors are saying that after a review, after they came for review, probably a few months ago, they were still not giving the reports. So I think that I'll recommend to Chairman that he gives an order for those reports to be provided and for the auditor to verify them to settle this matter.
Yeah, management accepted the recommendation for compliance. And the recommendation is that those reports should be made available. First, the report should be prepared and made available. So once the CEO saying that the reports are available, kindly give those reports to auditors. Because the recommendation is that there are no report to authenticate the expenditure. Give them to verify, and that will clear the issue. Let's move on. So we are moving to the next one, which is paragraph 516, and Vice Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Madam, on paragraph 516, failure to re-register official vehicles. This order was given in April 2014. But then when they got there for the audit, the 2017 audit, 30 out of the 99 vehicles and 3 motorbikes had not been re-registered. Why?
So, Mr. Chairman, all the vehicles have been registered so far. You can see that I said 30 out of 99. So it means the process was ongoing at the time of the audit. So it was 30 that was left that the GVLE was supposed to bring the plates. By the time the auditors came, the plate had not been brought. That's how come they reported on it. But as we speak, as at 2018, those plates were brought and the issue had been settled. So no more further action required.
Mr. Financial Officer, we are talking about 3 years. When they came in for the audit, after the issuance of that order, and 30 vehicles are not being re-registered.
Mr. Chairman, as soon as we received that, we actually immediately took steps to register all the 99. However, it is a process between ourselves and DVLA. We actually took steps to do all the 99, but the process takes time. So DVLA, I mean, between ourselves and DVLA, we couldn't get all of them done at the same time. We couldn't get all the 99, so they would give us some during the course of whatever, but we did take steps to do all the 99. So by the time they came back, we paid for all the 99. We have evidence to show that we did all the 99, but they had given us plates for about 69 of them. So we hadn't got the plates for the remaining 30, but we had evidence that we had paid for all of them. So the 69 had been done, and the plates were there. It was the 30 that we didn't have the plates for. So we showed the evidence that we had the plates for them. Thank you.
Auditors, could you verify if this re-registration has been completed?
Mr. Chairman, yes, all the vehicles have now been re-registered and verified. Thank you.
Auditors, I want some clarification. Paragraph 517 of the reports, of the AG's report, says that, furthermore, directive from the Office of the President with reference number SCR/A30/7, dated 24th April 2014, also instructed all ministries, departments, and agencies to compile data and re-register all government vehicles and replace their number plates with government color green. Now, the reference here is all ministries, departments, and agencies. That this also affected the board, public boards and corporations.
Mr. Chairman, yes, government directives goes to all government departments, whether you are public institution or not. Government directives you are supposed to comply with. Thank you.
But your own reports, when you are writing your own report, you always say MDA report, which is ministry, department, and agencies, which is separate from public boards and corporations. Your own reports, that you title. Your own reports.
Okay, just to continue over here. Installation of accounting software without approval. Were you aware that you couldn't do that without approval?
Mr. Chairman, no. This was done before I came, so I wasn't aware.
Now, have you gone to seek for approval now?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Can the auditors confirm, please?
Mr. Chairman, yes, they wrote to our office, and then so our IT department really verified and then tested them before it was approved. Thank you.
Well, Honorable Roxon has a question on the vehicle issue, so if you can ask.
Chairman, thank you. CEO, has the DVLA given you any reason why they have not been able to regularize by way of re-registration of the other vehicles? Out of the so many that you submitted, you are saying that
it's all been done now.
Sorry?
We finished them now.
It's all been done now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm guided, Chairman.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the next paragraph 529 to 541. Honorable Sophia.
Thank you, Chairman. paragraph 529. Mr. Accountant, your infraction here is IGF collection not lodged. That is 26,028.01. And 529 is saying that any public officer or revenue collector who collects or receives public and trust monies shall issue official receipt for them and pay them into the relevant public fund bank account within 24 hours of receipt, except in exceptional circumstances to be identified by the minister. Now, 530 states that anybody who breaks this must be sanctioned. Now, the auditors are saying that during their visit to Kumasi office, they noted that the former accountant, Kisley Elban, did not fully lodge into the bank account the internally generated fund collected from January 2017 to August 2017. Total amount collected during the period was 645,717.92, out of which 689.91 was banked, leaving a balance of 26,028.01 unbanked. The table is here. Where is the and what is the follow-up of this? Thank you.
Honorable, please, my head of internal audit will answer this question because we had an audit process on this. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so the internal audit undertook our annual audit of the regions, and we found out that the Kumasi accountant at the time had not paid this difference of the IGF. So we took the necessary steps by reporting it to the police. At the time, he was picked by the police and detained. So after the police processes, he refunded the entire amount to the police. And we were expecting that the police would then remit the funds collected to the FDA. Unfortunately, that did not happen, and it took the CEO and the legal officer to push the police for them to make the necessary refunds. And as at now, they still owe the FDA the difference of 7,500 Ghana cedis. For which we have written to them. We have written to the head, the district commander in Kumasi, asking that they should remit the difference of the 7,500 to the FDA. So the officer has paid the full amount to the police. So it's left with the police remitting the amount to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Please, I would like to find out if the officer paid with the interest, because the auditors stated that the officer must pay with interest.
Well, we refer the matter to the police. So we can't say whether the police ask him to pay with interest or not.
Sophia, if I could ask a question. So this has been over 4 years now, right? And the police took the money from the guy. And the police has kept the money. And they've paid, leaving 7,000. Is that right?
Please, 7,500.
7,500. Which police officer was supposed to have refunded this money to FDA?
Please, we do not know the police officer. We know the station where the money was paid.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, we have.
Can we have a copy, please?
Okay. Thank you.
Is the honorable members order? Order. The police involved. Do you know their names?
No, please.
When was that? When was the last time that the
I think December.
chief executive wrote to them demanding the balance of 7,000?
I think yes, early this year.
Early this year.
Yes, please.
Now, did you get any response to that letter?
No, not yet.
Do you know whether the officers who were involved, who actually collected the money, are still the officers there?
No, please. We can't tell.
How much was refunded by the police?
So they refunded the 26,000, the whole amount, except the 7,500.
So let's say 19,000.
Yes, please.
By what means? Check, cash, what?
I think I'm not sure, but we received the receipt from the regional office indicating that the amount has been paid to the regional office. So into our accounts. So we will need to verify further to be able to tell
I'm
you.
asking this question because we want to know if it is by cash, who paid the cash to your office, so that we'll be able to know. If it is check, we'll know which officer paid the money, so that it will be easy to trace.
Okay, so we would check and come back to the house.
What is Kingsley himself now?
He's been transferred out of our office. He's a controller and accountant general staff.
He's a controller staff, so
yes,
now transferred to another department.
Yes, please.
Going to do another one there. But if the police who are supposed to help us are also involved in this, are we safe? No, let's.
everyone.
Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and thy good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love of the common. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. You may resume your seat. Order paper item number 2, message from the President. Unfortunately, we don't have any, and as a speaker, I don't have any formal communication. Therefore, we would go straight to the correction of votes and proceedings. Correction of votes and proceedings. Page number 1. Page number 2. Table office, please take note of the correction and make amends. Page 3. Page 4.
Mr. Speaker, page 4, item 20. My name is Honey, but it has been spelled wrongly, Honey, instead of Hanie. I will be grateful for a correction.
Table office, please take note and make the necessary corrections. Now let's turn to page number 5. Page number 6.
Mr. Speaker, page 6, item 7, motion, line 2. The word there had been omitted, and therefore, if that could be corrected.
Thank you very much. Table office, please kindly take note of that and make the necessary corrections. Page 7, page 8, Honorable members, the votes and proceedings as of 14th March 2021 as amended is accordingly adopted. Honorable members, I have admitted one statement and I therefore call on Honorable Daniel Omari from the University of Ghana Parliament House to make his statement.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to make a brief statement on the current happenings between Ukraine and Russia, for which we all are particular scenes of. Mr. Speaker, it is indeed sad to see the current demise and departure of the most vulnerable and innocent women, children, and all these people we see in these societies. Now, I want to go into what is the cause of the current happenings, after which we all get ourselves acquainted with the scene. And so there are two schools of thought. The first has got to do with the side of the Russians. On 24th February, in a pre-dawn interview, which was handled by the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, His Excellency Vladimir Putin, he made it clear in one of the statements that his country, Russia, felt unsafe by the threats of Ukrainians. Why did he say this? He thinks and is of the view that the first school of thought, there is a force of the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, for which he wants to take over the freedom of his people. And so he seeks to demilitarize them and seek for denazification. The second school of thought has got to do with the struggle of power by the two blocks we all know in the world, the Eastern and then the Western. The Eastern, which is controlled by the US and then the NATO, and the Western, that of the Warsaw, which is also controlled by the Russians. Now, Ukraine is on the border and shares borders with Russia, and so His Excellency Vladimir Putin feels it will be unsafe and a threat to their security as a country for the Ukrainians to join that of the Eastern Bloc, which is the NATO. Instead, he feels that it is right for them to belong to the Russians, which is the Warsaw, and for them to control their military power, and for which we see this is the current invasion that is happening. Mr. Speaker, I would want to end here for my other honorable members to make their contributions. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Daniel Omari from the University of Ghana Parliament House. Honorable members, the floor is now open for contribution on the statement.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, after the USSR, that is the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, fell in 1991, the countries that formed it gained independence. Countries like Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and the likes. In 1997, Mr. Speaker, Russia and Ukraine signed the Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation, and then Partnership. This fixed the principle of strategic partnership, recognition of the inviolability of existing borders, respect for territorial integrity, and mutual commitment not to use its territory to harm the security of each other. Mr. Speaker, they lived humbly until Russia, 2019, annexed Crimea, a border town in Ukraine. In 2014, Mr. Speaker, Russia backed separatists to secede the Donetsk and then the Luhansk. That is the region in Ukraine. This is an attempt to gradually eat away Ukraine and World of North Atlantic Territory Organizations, that's the NATO. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any other comments on the statement? Honorable member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to the statement. I'm Ruth Angela Botu from ATU Parliament. Mr. Speaker, please, the invasion of Ukraine shows racism has no boundary. Sanctions, which include cutting off Russia's ability to trade and also make income, has even not deterred them from venturing into these wars. And yes, hello. Mr. Speaker, Russia so far doesn't seem deterred by all these sanctions. Videos of the brutalities are painful to watch. The images of people trying to flee battle-stricken areas and cross the Ukrainian borders into other countries further highlights the stain and peril of human survival. The journey has proved particularly challenging for Black people who, even during a life and death situation, have found themselves running into racist barriers to their safety and freedom. There are also many reports of Black people being refused at border crossing in favor of white Ukrainians, leaving in brutal conditions. Ukraine states that they would evacuate women and children, but as it stands, it seems they are only favoring Ukrainians, leaving Black Africans. There are videos of Black people also being pushed off trains and black drivers reprimanded and stored by Ukrainians as they try to flee. There are even reports of animals being allowed on trains before humans. Let's not forget the Black students and athletes. These international athletes are not even given a double take or view at borders. For instance, let's see Maurice Creek, who is a professional Ukrainian basketball player and originally from Maryland. He was stuck in a bomb shelter at Mykolaiv, Ukraine, but because he is Black, he is currently headed for Romania to try and get a flight to the United States. Africans attending school in Ukraine back to 1920. Mr. Speaker, the Soviet Union, which is now Russia, started formally recruiting students to attend colleges and professional schools in 1957, which is when Ghana also gained independence. The Soviet Union wanted to try and build more positive relations with African countries and showcase to the world their growing diplomacies. Students were awarded scholarships, but this provision substantially decreased since Ukraine gained its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. This didn't stop African people or students from moving to Ukraine. Today, we have over 16,000 African people who are studying in Ukraine, accounting for more than 20% of Ukraine's international students. From a report by Jessica Orapo, who is a Nigerian, who due to this conflict managed to go back to her country, said, "Only Ukrainians, that's all. If you are Black, you should work." She said this was a statement made by an official to an African woman who was trying to get on a bus to Poland as Russian troops invaded the nation last month. I believe, Mr. Speaker, that officials have to do more to ensure that all Ukrainian residents, Black or white, should receive equal chance to leave war-stricken areas. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any other submission?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We know that the situation at hand is a very crucial situation, Mr. Speaker. It's clear that Ukraine is a victim in this West-East Asia. Since 1991, after the Soviet Union collapsed, the West has still continued to militarize. The East, that is mainly controlled by Russia, hasn't stopped militarizing either. And it looked clearly that this was supposed to happen, and this was to happen. I think even President Vladimir Putin made it clear that when you see that the fight is inevitable, you put the first blow. So I think that is exactly what he did. And we know that with this ensuing circumstances, it has led to global shortages and some products, Mr. Speaker. We know the oil situation where Ghana, as it stands now, has broken the 8, and other effects are reeling around the world. Ukraine and Russia jointly produce about 55% of the world's wheat, and it has really caused shortages in the markets. We know that in 2020, Russia had a situation with the oil that it led to the rise in prices. And if this situation isn't curbed early, the effects will be higher and the cost will be much dire and our country will suffer. Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that we all use our voices and
Thank you very much. Honorable member, you can speak.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to the contribute made by my honorable member. Mr. Speaker, I think I'm much concerned about the living standard of the people with the issue of Ukraine-Russia brouhaha, which has led to the death of people, and then I think in the long run will lead to loss of lives and properties. So therefore, let me say, for instance, 351 civilians has been recorded to have been killed in Ukraine due to this brouhaha or conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Therefore, and this is very bad, Mr. Speaker, and I think the UN needs to take bold steps to harness this conflict or incompatibility. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, if I may, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement made by my honorable member. It's very important that we speak about a pertinent facet of this whole Russia-Ukraine war, which is the economic factor. My co-colleague said a little bit on that, but I'd like to touch on it to the grain of the issue. The economic effects are very, there are lots to say, but it is also good to notice that in every war there will come its economic downturns. And with the Russia-Ukraine war, we are having issues such as damage to infrastructure, which is happening due to the launch of missiles here and there, a decline in the working population due to the disparaging of different people, as my former, my pre-speaker said, a rise in debt as they try to finance different types of projects because of the harm that is being caused, and also inflation, which I'll be speaking on a little later in this little speech of mine. Before the war started in Russia, Russia was known to be one of the key suppliers of wheat and corn, which was said by one of my co-speakers, and due to this war, it has put a lot of stop on the supply chain due to the war, obviously. It will increase the amount of prices, hence leading to the rise in prices all around the world. And the EU is really fragile in this whole scenario because they depend on Russia and Ukraine for 60% of their food supplies. And also, the Western world has put sanctions on Russia, such as freezing their central bank assets and also following and tracking down some of their oligarchs, such as Roman Abramovich, who is an oligarch in Russia and also the owner of Chelsea, which most of you know. We will see a hike in many prices, and we are even seeing that now in Ghana with a hike in the price of fuel, which everybody knows by now. So I believe that this issue that is going on in Ukraine is really affecting the world in the economic facet because, number one, transport increase. And when transport increase, it leads to an increase in the supply chain cost. And when supply chain costs increase, it causes a hike in all other retail sectors. Hence why I believe that it will cause inflation overall. So I believe if this Russia-Ukraine brouhaha is brought to a stop, the earlier the better, as is popularly said. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable. If there are no other submissions, I would like to refer this statement to the Subcommittee of Foreign and Defense Affairs and National Integration for them to interrogate further the issue raised and inform the House in the next 2 months. As you all can see, we have officials and members of Parliament from the National Parliament, and I'll therefore introduce some of them. The first is a distinguished in the gallery in the person of Honorable Joseph Oseus, who happens to be the first Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament. Also, we have the Clerk to Parliament, Mr. Cyril Kwabena Otinsia, in the House. We also have the Deputy Clerk in charge of Legislative Management, Mr. Ebenezer Chietro. Again, the Deputy Clerk in charge of ICT, Honorable Alaji Gobela, is also in the house. We have the Budget Officer in the person of Mr. Mohammed Nyaksi Hadi, who is a Board Secretary. Sorry, the Board Secretary, Mr. Camilo, is also in the house as well. Again, we have the Director of Public Affairs, who is in the person of Ms. Kate Ado. And the last, the Deputy Director, who is in the person of Ms. Margaret Donko. Thank you very much for gracing this occasion. Honorable members, these members of Parliament and officers have graciously agreed to organize a debate for Students' Parliament on the topic, including more women in the parliamentary process. Are the current provisions enough? And so in view of this, the House will now be suspended to make way for the committee of the whole meeting to enable us to perform that duty. Would also like to acknowledge the presence of other speakers from Students' Parliament. We have KNUST speaker here. Honorable member, if you are here, can we see you? We have the speaker from UCC here as well. Do we have the speaker from UDS? Okay. We also have the speaker from GIJ Students' Parliament. Also, the speaker from Wisconsin University. We also have the speaker for the Students' Parliament of University of Profession, which is UPSA, University of Professional Studies. And the speaker from Accra Technical University. Also, the speaker from Catholic University is also in our presence. Okay. Thank you very much. We are most grateful for the opportunity to be here to grace this occasion. On that note, as I said earlier, the House will now be suspended to make way for the committee of the whole meeting to enable us to perform the duty of the debate. We are still getting dignitaries, so it's prudent that we acknowledge them before we suspend the House. And so we would acknowledge the presence of Mr. William Asem, who happens to be the Deputy Director for Finance, Student Mentor. The House has been adjourned. Suspended, sorry.
May I now respectfully invite the Speaker, First Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament, the Clerk to Parliament, and the other officials to the high table for the second part of the event to start. Getting right into things, may I now respectfully call the Deputy Clerk in charge of Legislative Management to give us a very brief prayer to start the second part of the event.
Shall we pray? Gracious Lord, we thank you for this opportunity. Lord, we are here to commemorate a very important day in the lives of our nation, and indeed the Committee of Nations that constitute the Commonwealth. Our prayer is that, Lord, you lead us in this ceremony. Let our hearts and minds focus on the things that unite us and further the progress of the nation Ghana and the Commonwealth. Help us minimize our differences and be united in this common cause. We thank you for answered prayers in Jesus' name. Amen.
Clerk to Parliament is an alumnus of the University of Ghana, so no pressure. I'm sure he will be expecting a lot of things from you later on in today's program. But as I said last year, the year before, we are breaking the myth. And so I wish all the others the very best. He's a lawyer by profession, and he graciously approved everything that we took to him for this morning's program to take place. So now, with a very rousing here, help me to welcome the Clerk to Parliament as he welcomes us to this program.
Honorable First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Deputy Clerks to Parliament, Directors, Principal Assistant Clerks, and staff of Parliament, Speakers of Student Parliaments, Leadership of Student Parliaments, students from our tertiary institutions, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I welcome you all to this year's Commonwealth Day celebrations centered on the theme, Delivering a Common Future, Connecting, Innovating, and Transforming. Unfortunately, due to the coronavirus pandemic, we were unable to come together last year and the year before to mark this important event. I am therefore thankful that this year, although the pandemic is still hardly with us, we have met as a parliamentary family to celebrate this special day of the Commonwealth. As we observe this day, together with other countries of the Commonwealth around the globe, we should not lose sight of the need to consolidate our gains as a people in order to contribute meaningfully towards achieving goals that will not only inure to our benefit, but would profit other members of the Commonwealth and the world at large. Indeed, the future belongs to those who prepare for it. It is therefore in your best interest to work hard at your academics and remain committed to improving your skills in parliamentary procedures and practices. Undeniably, many before you who participated in our student parliaments have attained reputable status by serving the nation in diverse positions, including among others, our own Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, a one-time Deputy Minister of Education. Honorable Ablakwa is an honorable member of Parliament who is contributing meaningfully to the growth of parliamentary democracy. A few years ago, he sat here amongst you, was one of the leaders of the student parliaments. At the moment, another former member from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Student Parliament, Mr. Frank Blay, is also making us proud on the international scene. Frank, who is currently at the University of Aberdeen in the United Kingdom and is undertaking a course towards the award of a Master of Science degree in International Relations, has become the first African and second person of color to be elected as Vice Chair of the Student Council. We are proud to have contributed to this story through our interventions and mentorship programs. I would like to assure you that the Parliamentary Service remains committed to alleviating some of the challenges you encounter as student groups. While we cannot bear the full cost of your activities, we will continue to contribute to facilitate your operations. I would, however, like to caution you to desist from dabbling in direct partisan politics. As you all know, the object of establishing student parliaments is to instill the tenets of parliamentary democracy in the youth and equip them for the performance of future roles. As a non-partisan public service, the Parliamentary Service is unable to fund the activities of politically inclined groups. To this end, student parliaments that lean towards any political group will be expelled from the list of youth groups we resource and work with. I also believe that in order to properly acclimatize with practices and procedures of Parliament, it will be better serving if you consider 2 terms for respective student parliaments instead of the 1-year term currently being practiced on the campuses. The Public Affairs Department of the Parliamentary Service remains committed to offer the requisite assistance in the running of your parliaments. Your mentors are also available to assist you when required. I once again welcome you to this important event and look forward to an exciting debate. Let us continue to stay safe in observing our COVID-19 health protocols. I thank you for your attention.
Honorable members, you all had a very heavy breakfast, so I was expecting a bigger here. May I remind us that this program is live on GBC. It's also live on social media. There is available Nana Benkrang of the Public Affairs Department has the link, so you can contact him and then share the links among yourself so that we can have a wider coverage for this all-important event. Remember that at 12 o'clock, when we get the throne speech, it will be read simultaneously with other Commonwealth countries. The first Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament, very renowned lawyer, very hard-working, has been in the news lately, and I'm sure you've been following activities concerning him. May I respectfully welcome the Honorable Joseph Osei-Wusu to give us the keynote address.
The Clerk of Parliament, Deputy Clerks of the National Parliament, Directors and Deputy Directors, staff of the Public Affairs Department of the National Parliament of Ghana, Right Honorable Speakers of the various student parliaments, leadership of the various parliaments, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me such a joy to be here with you today on the occasion of the Commonwealth Day celebrations. Indeed, such occasions, when you young people in whom our future is vested gather to deliberate on the national issues, are a source of major joy to us adults who are hoping for a better future in your hands. The Commonwealth is a large and diverse family in different geographical locations. Despite this, members are bound to one another by shared values of democracy, free speech, human rights, and the rule of law. Here in Ghana, these rules are also binding to us, and it is these ideals that we seek to pass on to you, the future leaders and custodians of our country's destiny. Indeed, countries in both developed and developing world recognizes the role that you, young people, have to play in the future development, and so have sought to work to ensure your active participation in such processes. For the past few weeks, countries in the Commonwealth have been working to ensure that more young people, women, and people who are marginalized are included in politics and in policy cycles for the achievement of the ultimate interest. Indeed, conferences held in UK and other places with this ideal in mind brought together young people like you with fresh ideas on how to generally improve the fortunes of young people in developing countries like ours. I am aware that the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, is celebrating Commonwealth Day across the CPA's 9 regions and over 180 parliaments and legislatures. And it is for this reason that I am very happy that our students are joining their colleagues the world over to celebrate this special day. This year's Commonwealth Day theme focuses on delivering a common future, offers opportunities for the people, parliaments, governments, and institutions of Commonwealth to connect and work together at many levels through far-reaching and deep-rooted networks and goodwill. This theme also links to the forthcoming Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda, which will highlight how the Commonwealth family are working together to help achieve goals like fighting climate change, promoting good governance, and boosting trade. Given that 2022 is also the Platinum Jubilee year of the CPA's patron, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, head of Commonwealth, there will be a special focus this year on the role that service plays in the lives of people and communities across the Commonwealth. Today, you, like many young people across the world, are debating issues that affect your country and its development. Your topic, including women in the parliamentary process, are the provisions enough? Is most appropriate given week ago, the world celebrated International Women's Day, with a focus on eliminating all forms of discrimination against women and ensuring that women get equal remuneration, recognition, and treatment at the workplaces. The relevance of this is premised on the undeniable fact that issues that affect women continue to affect the development of our nation states. This is because women constitute more than a half of the world's population. They also make up more than a half of the economic force in the informal private sectors. The roles they play in the family setting and in society as a whole help in shaping the values of policymakers, be they male or female. It is therefore imperative that women are included in the decision-making processes to ensure that they have direct contribution and impact on the laws and policies that govern us and affect them. As I've already stated, young people are key to economic and social progress in developing countries like ours. It is therefore imperative that we do our best to not only actualize their full potential, but also ensure their active participation in the processes that will lead to the overall development of our country. I would also like to urge you to make a conscious effort to not only participate, but also make meaningful contributions to discussions of national relevance. I urge you further to be responsible citizens, bearing in mind that the world is now a relatively smaller place with an even keener struggle to scramble for what is left of our national resources and the man-made ones. The decision you will make today, you will take tomorrow, will affect the next generation. Eschew laziness, confrontation, and the use of bad language, the lack of respect towards the adults and your seniors. Be aware of the changing trends in the world and stay abreast with these. Make sure that you are at par with your peers in the world and ensuring at all times that your country takes its place of pride in the world. In all these, let your personal integrity be above board. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all the best for this morning's debate. May the best school win, even though I wish Legon wins. May God bless us all, our country, and the Commonwealth. Good morning once again.
Yeah. Thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament. He will be back to read the throne speech. While we wait for that, we'll just get right into things. Our panelists for this year, like previous years, are Mr. Profession. He's the Deputy Clerk in charge of Legislative Management. May we see you, Mr. Jetro? Yeah. We also have Mr. Camilo Puamang, who is also a lawyer just like Mr. Jetro. He is the board secretary. He also works as the head of the minority secretariats. Mr. Camilo Puamang. And of course, the strictest quiz master ever, Mr. Mohammed Nyagzi Hadi. He is the director of research. So he looks out for research, detailed work, succinctity, and then brevity of thought. Mr. Nyagzi is one of our panelists. And of course, our mentor, who we must thank for his many financial contributions to the Parliament, and I'm sure recently some of you benefited from his benevolence. We still remain very grateful to Mr. William Asem, another lawyer, and another very, very strict panelist. And so if the debaters will come to the first seat, the first row seat, and then the rest of our panelists can join us up here, then those who will be taking part in the balloting will come. As you know, we will debate for and against with no particular school choosing a particular side. So you come and pick whatever you get, that's what you do. And then after the first round, we will eliminate 3 schools. We'll be left with 4 schools. Then
will battle among themselves for the ultimate prize and then the subsequent ones. Public affairs, can we have the trophies displayed so that they can know? And there is a cash prize as well for the winner. So this year the stakes are quite high. We urge that you do your best. So please proceed to Mr. Jetro's side of the bench for your balloting. Because we haven't located you yet.
University of Professional Studies 4, and then we have University of Science and Technology again, University of Development Studies again, and then we have other universities, Central University again.
Some of you are requesting for the score sheet. Don't worry. At the end of every round, the scores will be mentioned, collated and mentioned. Your timekeeper is Mr. Mustafa Ahmed. I suggest that, Mustafa, you come closer so that you can be in the line of the debate. So the debaters are expected to come to the front. The panelists will now give us the modalities for debate, what time the main speaker will get, and what time the supplementary speaker will get. All those things will be determined by the panelists while we wait for the, what do you call it, the throne speech.
All right. Please, are you seated? Please get seated so that we... Now, the guidelines are as follows. But before that, let's know the participating universities. University of Ghana, are you here? All right. Accra Technical University. All right. University of Cape Coast. University of Professional Studies. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science. Okay. University for Development Studies. Are you seated? Okay. Central University. Yeah. You're always on the sidelines, but your crosses are dangerous. Okay, then so now the guidelines will be as follows. This year, in view of the constraint of time, and secondly, to get the best out of you, because one of the qualities of a good debater is to deliver your points within a few minutes so that people will understand exactly the argument you are making. So in that direction, we are allocating 7 minutes to the main speaker, and then 4 minutes for the minor speaker. So please take note that the main speaker will have 7 minutes, and the other speaker will have 4 minutes. I wish you good luck.
Yes, so we want to have brief
await the speech by the Queen of England. You know, the Commonwealth speech delivered by the Queen of England always precedes the debate. Okay, we draw inspiration from that, take guidance, and then we move from there. So whilst we await that, we have some few minutes, we will use the few minutes to have some brief interaction with you. I would want to make one or two observations about the mock session we had. I must indicate that it was a very commendable exercise. Particularly, I'm looking at the performance of the speaker, the presiding officer. Indeed, I liked the business-like attitude adopted by the speaker and the comportment of the entire House. The speaker was forthright, straightforward, and I mean, he was quite serious. You know, it made the atmosphere quite interesting. Okay. Now, the only observation I had about him, which I thought he could improve upon, had to do with the reading of the prayers. He rather looked too serious. The prayers, it's prayer proper, it's not a ritual we observe every time the prayers are said. It's not a ritual. It's prayer to the Almighty God. And the solemnness, the solemnity, and then that kind of, atmosphere didn't characterize the prayer session. It rather turned out to be so strict and sort of, I wouldn't say boisterous, but I expected it to come with the dignity that normally characterizes the prayer session. So let's take note of that. But overall, it was very, very commendable, and I really, I must commend the speaker. Those who also did the presentations, in fact, the statement, the maker of the statement must be commended. Very short, straight to the point, and deliberately or otherwise, if I may put it that way, he allowed space for other members to contribute, and the contributions indeed filled the gap. I must commend you highly for this. I'll pause here and allow other colleagues, the clerk to Parliament, I don't know whether he has one or two things to say, Mr. Speaker himself, if so be. Thank you for now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deputy Clerk. This was a good presentation that we observed. The procession was well done. I just noticed that the marshal was in a hurry to leave the maze. So he left the maze there and then went to sit down whilst the speakers and things were processing to come up. Speakers and the rest of the procession. So going forward, the marshal remains with the mace and bows to the speaker as they are all, then as the speaker sits down, and then the rest of the house will also sit down. So that's one of the observations. But generally, as indicated by Mr. Jetro, the speaker conducted the session well, and it's commendable. The other members of the House who some of them did correction of votes and proceedings, and that was also well done. The statement was brief. Normally, a good statement will be 1 page, 1.5 page, something. So that was good. And then the contributions to that came up. But you know what I noticed is that some of you did not introduce yourself, so you just got up and then started speaking. So either the chair, the speaker, the presiding officer will then mention your name or your constituency. In this regard, your constituency will be University of Ghana or University of Professional Studies or something like that. And so those were a few comments, but generally it was an impressive presentation, and we are highly elated that at least the mentoring program is going well, and that we are building capacity for the future of our parliament. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker. Okay. Alaji, you okay? Other colleagues? Okay, they've gone out. Right. Madam Kate?
We wait for the speech from the UK. I'd like to point out a few things to you. First of all, I think that the Clerk to Parliament deserves a very big hear. And this is because, you know, we didn't get a communication from the UK very early. We got it only a few days ago. And he graciously agreed to approve everything that we sent for him. So we are very grateful. Again, the first Deputy Speaker, those of you who've gone through the Parliament from first year would know him. Anytime we've called, there's not a time for the vote of thanks or anything, but anytime we've called him, he has come, and he must also be commended because we invited him only once, and now he has a whole following of young people that he sponsors and youth programs that he organizes. We actually are mindful of his activities, and anybody who mentors young people for us in the youth parliament, you know, is somebody that we hold very precious. And so let's give him another here. And then there is good old Mr. Asim. We would go to him when you come and visit me in the office, and out of his own pocket, he gives us money. We understand that it's a voluntary group, and you pay your way through dues, but we are also aware of the challenges that you face. And so we are grateful for every single city that you get, whether it's official or in a person's personal capacity. And so for that reason, we would like to appreciate him. Of course, Mr. J, also another mentor. I don't know what universities he mentors, but I know Mr. Asim's own is KNUST and Winneba. I think Camilo is Legon, or I think Mr. Janksi does Legon. I'm totally confused about who is mentoring. Yeah, no, you can't. You can't all be Legon. You can't all be Legon, but we'll refresh our notes on that, and then we'll let you know who your mentors are. It's for the various universities, so that you can, what do you call it? Challenges in terms of not just parliamentary processes, but even in terms of academics. If you need guidance, if you need an adult to speak to, I always tell you that if you can't speak to me because you're probably a male and you don't want me to know the issues that you are facing, you can always call one of them. And I think Mr. Asim deserves a gold medal for that. So the proceedings for the debates, you've been told. Let me give you some small apple. They will look out for language. The language is not just the ones you are using, but your body language. So don't come and shout. Those of you who like shouting when you debate, don't shout. You are not quarreling. Use of language, depth of thought, and saying the things that you want to say in the shortest possible time. Those are the things that you need to remember. Those of you who have chewed and are coming to pour, know that if you forget one word, you'll be in trouble. So if I were you, I would try and write key words that will help me to remember. Those of you who do chew and pour, the clerk is here. So you need to justify your inclusion. Otherwise, the next time I go, he will say that the people now, they didn't do well. So I beg you, put your best foot forward so that the clerk will be proud of all of us and the speaker too, so that they will give us more opportunities to meet more often. You know, the coronavirus prevented us from meeting, but now that the virus is easing, we will start coming to your schools to visit you and continue from where we left off. We recognize that most of you need training. UG, you have a new parliament. ATU, you have a new parliament. Even UDS, you have a new parliament. So we will come to you and then speak to you about how you can improve your procedures. We are still waiting for the speech from the Queen, and I'm keenly watching. It's 12 noon. They said it's under embargo, so we are waiting for them to release it. I've spoken to AXA from the CPA Secretariat, and so we are waiting. I'm looking onto the time. Yeah, so basically, those are the issues that you need to know. I've seen that the UG mace needs to be replaced. We will have to work on that one. The mace is not right. So I will look at that, and then I will make the appropriate requests, and then we'll replace that. And also for those of you who don't have the mace, we will resolve it. And also the gowns, let's maintain a certain uniformity for the speakers at least. So if we decide that we decided on the black and the kente,